Hello and welcome to another episode of the DewatchPod. I am Jorgen Smarshboard.
And I am G Mufaji, and this podcast is being recorded by us being inserted back into a past podcast.
That's right. Where different podcasters are being dubbed over with us who are more,
With the times.
with the times. We're
High tech.
was
Stop
going to-
doing cold intros.
I was going to claim that we're black, and then I was like, that's probably not a good thing to do.
That's really bad.
But we will be dubbed over by black people in the cooler future.
I'm not saying
When
anything.
someone's like, we need to make this podcast better.
I think probably if we were dubbed over in such a way, it would be to cover up another controversy by the studio producing this podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Um.
This is the Do You Watch Black Mirror podcast.
Yeah. And we watched Hotel Reverie Season 7, Episode 3, because we have finished watching Black Mirror seasons in reverse order, and now we're doing Season 7.
We are no longer de-watching, but we are still watching the Black Mirror podcast.
This is one of our dumber intros.
I think it might be number one.
Do we recommend this episode, Jim?
I don't think I can go there.
Really?
I have a lot of complicated feelings about this, but in a series, in a podcast first, I think you should watch the first half of this episode.
For me it's just a full recommend.
Okay.
And I think I have like some latent positive feelings from Star Trek, strangely.
Is it the one episode I have watched? Okay.
I don't know which episode you've watched, so that would be very identifying. And we have some content warnings, if you do want to follow my advice, which are suicide,
Implied 40s era homophobia,
death and grief,
violence.
existential dread.
Okay, those are the trigger warnings.
And what happens in this episode?
Well, it starts with the best character, Kimmy, I believe her name is.
Oh, right, that is the opening scene.
I know, right? It's been a while. It's a longer episode, y'all. But yeah, basically, like there's this new technology, as Black Mirror tends to do, that essentially lets you put people in old movies to remake them. This is, I assume there's other uses for this. This is the one we get in this episode. And essentially, they approach this failing film company that has a storied reputation and go, hey, let's take your, essentially, Casablanca. I have not seen Casablanca, but I'm pretty sure this is just Casablanca.
Yeah. There's no Nazis.
I guess that's true. None that we know of.
Yeah.
And essentially goes like, hey, we're pitching this to new hot actors such as Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, Donald Glover, and there's like one more. I forget. Chris Hemsworth. And all of them say, nah. And then we get to our protagonist, who is Brandy something, who basically goes, yeah, I want to be in this, like, old...
I would like to be the lead in anything.
Because I guess that doesn't come up later, but yeah, like, she has basically been the, like, I'm always the sidekick / love interest. Often seemingly both.
Yeah. And she is, like, a huge name, so they're like, abso-fucking-lutely, we'll send you the info right over. And she looks at the info and drops one of it. So she doesn't know what's happening until she arrives at the scene, having learned all her lines, replacing the romantic lead, or rather playing the romantic lead.
Yes, and, we'll flag here, because this will obviously become quite relevant. Original 40s lead is obviously a man, she is a woman.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not a Robert Redford, but it's a name very reminiscent of Robert Redford.
I'm just gonna trust you on this one, because I don't know who Robert Redford is.
I want to say also someone from this era, but now I'm starting to doubt. And yeah, no, she is completely unaware of how this is going to work, because she dropped the USB stick that explains it, which starts a pattern of this particular plot being mostly being driven by people doing idiot shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of this episode. Like, I think nearly every, like, big point where, like, oh, the story advances, it takes a bit of a turn, is someone is, like, very dumb.
Yeah.
And this starts with her not actually, like, going for the info she gets, and then, you know, the movie starts.
Turning up and going, like, where's the movie? And, we get your favorite character, played by Aquafina. She's like a sort of corporate producer type. And she's like, oh, basically you put the neural interface VR on and just like LARP your way through the movie as your role, and then we capture that, and it's not AI dubbing a face, but it's like a real acting performance.
Yeah, but everything around it is quite close to just being like, you know, either copied from the old movie or just like regenerated with that as a basis.
And
it's like upscaling, basically.
yeah, and this is technically the central technology of the film, where it's basically just like we've uploaded all of this and made a like just like a simulation that it's got like a little bit of playtest vibes, where it's like it's a video game.
It sure does have a bit of a playtest vibe.
That is the movie once you've finished it. And
yeah, like one of the important things I think that we do get established around here is the like, okay, like this will adapt, right? Like if you say something slightly different, the character you're playing against will adjust to that, and like it will be based on the previous performance, basically.
Yes. And it goes completely smoothly for a bit.
For like 2 minutes, apart from the main actress being a bit too weird about being in this new place, which is on some level fair enough.
Yeah, no, because she has just been like dropped. She's gotten this neural interface situation dropped on her within like 10 minutes of starting, probably. And she is scrambling a bit. And this culminates when her character has to know how to play the piano, and she doesn't. So there's like a little bit of a scramble to like save the scene and maneuver around things. And this mostly goes well, except for the fact that a lady who should get poisoned in the original story doesn't, and setting in motion some dominoes. In the meantime, she is doing good at the flirting and like starts to like pick away at the layers of the simulation a little bit, because she messes up the name of the character she's romancing for the name of the actress.
And this is where we get like the first like, ooh, this is gonna go wrong in a bigger way, right? Because we flash out to like the cinema team outside, like doing the I want to say Star Trek-esque like command structure here of them all being like in a room together and being like forecasting ready. Like it's I don't know, it's actually kind of a cute flourish.
Yeah.
But specifically we get the like oh, like, you know, this is meant to be like kind of like a simulation, but the simulation is expanding because now she's heard her actress name instead of her character name, and some things are going undefinedly wobbly here.
Yeah. Basically, like, she's been, like, awakened a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, things more or less stay on track with some wobbles. Until, essentially, and, you know, there's a little bit of scrambling to keep the story, like, somewhat tense, but really things, hit their real breaking point when someone just like spills a cup of coffee on the computer.
Yeah, so really are like the one thing controlling everything. So like they lose the ability to see what's going on. Like the outside team loses the ability to see what's going on. They lose the ability to communicate. And inside, our protagonist is like, oh, everything around here is frozen. The music has stopped.
Yeah.
And we also get the tidbit that like stuff is happening faster in the simulation than outside.
Yeah, and this is played a bit fast and loose. The other thing is that the sort of cascading problems for the story have, at the point of the coffee spilling, reached a point where they're like, oh, we will just have to, like, pull her out. We can't pull her out. We need to get to the final line, because that's the trigger word for her mind to be released. And of course it's it seems to be more or less a die-in, or rather, like, so this is a bit convoluted, because she has to say the final line to get out, which means implicitly, like, she can die in real life if she doesn't get the line.
Yeah, and like the implication is that she'd be stuck there forever because they don't have the like normal extraction program running. So yeah, she has to say the final line, and I think also in the final scene, I don't think she can just like walk up to the lady and be like, "Hey, I really love you." I don't think so, at least.
She has to go through she has to reach the final scene and say the final line. And like it's left vague beyond that, basically.
Yeah.
And
but yeah, like at this point, our protagonist and the love interest in the story are the only ones able to move inside of like the simulation.
Because when the coffee was spilled, they were the only ones in like an active scene.
Right.
I think that's how it's meant to be.
That checks out to me.
But it's like it's never like examined or anything.
Yeah.
But basically, time runs faster inside the simulation, and they have just like a full-on romance. And deeply fall in love with each other.
Like we get the little like calendar pages ripping away to imply that it's like at least I want to say like a month in the simulation.
Yeah, no, it's like a month, 2 months on that scale about.
Yeah, which like it's there's like a short also bit where like the love interest character is like, I suddenly have agency. I'm just gonna like leave. And this was kind of implied earlier, and I think the implication is that like her getting to hear her actress name gets her to change a bit, to like be more assertive.
Yeah.
And she leaves the premises of the like stage essentially for a bit.
Yes.
And gets the flashback to the real.
She goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
And
she's a speedrunner now.
And this means she downloads all the knowledge of the simulation, or she connects to all the knowledge of the simulation and becomes like a full person who is like a weird mesh between the actress and like the role, but mainly the actress.
Yeah, I think by this point, like because we have a scene earlier of our protagonist trying to convince her like you're not real, and like she goes outside, she gets this flashback. Yeah, like we get a flashback here too, where like we've had this implication earlier, right? Because there's been talk about like, oh, this actress, Dorothy Chambers, I believe, is like she was never married, she died tragically, she was surrounded by rumors, and this is where we essentially just get a flashback of her looking longingly at one of her co-actors or like just someone on the stage.
Yeah,
basically
like
we
a
just get
crew person who she is clearly in a loving relationship with.
Yeah. And we just get like, you know, the cinema
lesbian, to be clear.
Yes, like we get the cinema way of confirming this girl be gay, and also that she commits suicide. And committed suicide seemingly quite shortly after this movie is the implication.
Yeah, basically in the fall, like in the sort of like high publicity fallout of this movie being a bit too big for people to just like, and drawing a bit too much attention to her, not being that like interested in her co-lead, which like that is just a bit real.
Yeah, like it's like, I don't know, it's like very small note here, but it actually reminded me of like a lot of those like real stories of like these rumors floating around and being like, oh, they sure seem to be hanging a lot out with her roommate a lot. Like it's, I don't know, it's kind of, it's weird to call it, given that it's obviously a very tragic story. It's kind of cute the way they do it. Like it feels realistic, for lack of a better word, or at least like echoing the vibe of the times. But yeah, she gets this whole download. She comes back and goes, I'm playing the piano now.
Yeah, and this is basically the start to them having like a 2-month like whirlwind romance in the stuck simulation.
Which is mostly conveyed by like physical affection, sure, but also them just kind of like messing with the other simulated guests, which is like, you know what, girls? If you're having fun with that for 2 months, hell yeah.
I hope it's 2 months. But like it's on that scale, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
And then we get outside.
Yeah.
Someone goes, "We have a save state."
yeah, no, there's like a lot of back and forth where like the outside is scrambling, and it's a bit confusing because the time of it is very intransparent. But eventually they're like, all right, we're getting everything back online. We're talking back into the simulation. And after like a bit of like confused back and forth, they're like, anyway, we're resetting it and going back to the scene we were doing. And suddenly, uh, the love interest just gets reset, ripped away.
Yeah, her awareness is taken away from her. Like,
And she's like, yes,
Dr. Palmer, like, not Brandy. Like, and to be clear, this is also like, this is shot quite intensely, right? Because,
Yeah.
like, the scene where our protagonist and the love interest find out about this, like, they're lying in bed together, like, waking up, like, lovingly gazing at each other. And then, like, you get the crew calling them up and going, anyway, we're fixing it.
Yeah, and like she there's just like enough time for her to realize and start yelling, "Don't do this."
Yeah.
Before like
Snap back.
the woman she loves is ripped away,
And the facsimile is in front of her again.
and she's like completely in shock and just like has to be like prompted through the scene.
Yeah, it takes like plus 10 seconds for each of her lines to come out, and she leaves the scene. There's like, clearly at this point she has a bit too much investment in like the plot of the story, which is that
She asks about like, she's clearly like thinking about, can I just stay here and be back with my love? And meanwhile on the outside they're like, okay, there's like one more plot hole we need to fill. And they just sort of like pilot her to do, like tell her how to do that, and they get to the like final confrontation on the roof, where
the love interest's husband is trying to kill her
the
for
love
her money.
interest's actress is named Dorothy Chambers. The character is named Clara something.
Clara Rice, I think.
It's a double name or something.
Yeah.
And she's like about to be murdered, and there's an intervention, and like the scene isn't going as it's supposed to for reasons that are actually entirely unclear to us. But after a scuffle, Clara shoots her husband, and
the police come because at this point, like, Brandy has alerted them as part of like the plot to try to get the plot back on track.
Yes. But while the police are like underway, they have an argument about who's taking the fall, because the husband wasn't supposed to die.
Yeah. He was supposed to be there and be like, darn, my dastardly plot has worked, or has not worked, and then the police take him in, and it's a fully happy ending.
Yeah.
That's not what we get after this murder. The police are coming, they'll see that, like, she has a gun, husband dead. Ooh, that's not great.
Yeah, and they'll arrest her, and she'll be in jail forever somehow.
Yeah.
Which is confusing, because the simulation, I think, just stops.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to that at some point, I think. But yeah.
And they have like an argument, and Brandy, who's playing Alex, is like, I'm gonna take the fall. Which leads to Clara just shooting the police and getting shot in return. Which leads us to the culmination of the movie final scene, in which Brandy, out of options, has to say the final line to get out.
Yeah, as Clara is dying, Clara/Dorothy is dying in front of her.
Yeah, and she's
messed up, man.
Yeah, no, and we like more or less cut ahead, like to like a few months or something later. As the movie gets like released proper, we get like a reshot trailer, which was like there for the original movie in the beginning. And we just have Brandy just like still really messed up about all this, and sort of to finish out the story, like she receives a package that's like, hey, we're sending you like the data of this lady in a drive or something, and a phone to talk to her.
A comically old-timey phone so that you can talk to your comically old-timey girlfriend. in the simulation.
And that's where we end the episode.
Yeah.
And I just need to flag right here that this is like, this fits into a tradition which probably is present in more than just Star Trek and other sci-fi, but definitely very present in Star Trek, where a person will just like lead a full life in their mind or in a simulation and then be yanked out of it and have to go back to their regular life, just having experienced all of that. And this is that a little bit.
I think that's interesting. I don't have much more to say on that, but I do want to I want to flag that. I think it's probably quite an accessible form of like existential despair, just because sometimes I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Jorgen, but like I've had dreams that at least feel like that. Like I think this yeah, like I think this is like something that at least very vaguely is an experience where you can go like, yeah, that's kinda happened to me, asterisk.
Yeah, no, like it is like going extremely hard on this experience of like a reality like slips away from you. But it's like, it's not just like, oh yeah, no, this is a dream. Like it's like grounded in a lot more ways, and like there's no indication that this will like leave the memory.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but like a lot more traumatic.
Yes.
And
yeah, sorry, go on.
I was just like completely like shocked when they were just like, all right, anyway, we're gonna reset the love of your life, and she just like doesn't like compute fast enough to stop them, or indeed if she even could.
Yeah, I thought about that for a moment, like when they were having that scene, I was like if she said no, don't reset me, like what was the response gonna be? Like, we are though.
Yeah, no, because at that point the story would have to deal with how to get her out, and it's not possible probably anymore.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, no, like that is also story convenience, but it is just like, it's just a moment of like sheer terror.
It's very much like that thing of like in the story, this is your loved one is dead and you did not have the chance to say goodbye, right? Like that's the horror it's evoking here.
Also, you're about to make out with this facsimile of her, and it's just like it's existential.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like that one is one of those things that like I find harder to relate to something in real life, but it is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like it is like one of those things. I think that moment is a good Black Mirror moment trademark, right? Like that is a managing to hijack onto something technology, like a unique form of technological horror, if only for a moment. Like it has like this is a messed up thing that, I don't know, like with sufficiently advanced like actual AI or like simulations or just like virtual reality, this could be an experience you could at least approximate.
I mean, there's a lot of connections I want to draw here actually. Like we were talking back when we were doing 15 million merits about like how the sort of abstract setting like lets us get to like more like elemental sort of like experiences and senses, and this feels to me like a version of that, because like fundamentally I think if you like abstract like a few steps, I think this is just like a more like visceral representation of something like, which I think most people like know to be true but do not have the ability to face most days, which is that like death is just like the cutting off of something which is like alive and then suddenly isn't, right? Like this isn't something that is like digital only, right? This is just like the like bringing it to like its most extreme that's making it more tangible, how like terrifying just like this fundamental notion of someone just ceasing to exist, because that's just death.
And I think this actually has a very interesting like cinematic juxtaposition here, right? Because like we get a death scene in the final scene of the in-universe movie, and that's drawn out, right? Like she's cradling her dying body for like a minute at least, and like I think that's a really interesting juxtaposition compared to the we're pressing a button, chunk, from second 1 to second 2 there is now nothing. And I think that's kind of like interesting, just in like how we see death in cinema compared to perhaps something that in a lot of cases might be more realistic, but also just like the different ability for someone to have like emotional closure to some extent with it, right?
Yeah, and I think like it, because like the other like very interesting thing is that like we have this first like very like sudden death, which like is given like very intentionally like no space at all, because the whole point is to like let the narrative of the like story that's being shot move again, right? But like the feelings from that are like very clearly like carried through to the final death scene, because the bond that is being mourned in that final scene isn't the bond with like this character, it's the bond with the real person who is already gone. Right. And also just like there is like absolutely no like sense of ambiguity. Like this is a like there is like no ambiguity about the like simulated person like having like full personhood in like a very meaningful sense. Like that's not something the story is interested in debating.
Yeah, like I think it's an interesting kind of comparison there as well, because like post reset, like we do not really get that impression of her anymore. Like there's some agency left, but I would say very little, right? Like she's still largely like at that point she is again playing out her role more so than being a person.
But like the person is also already like starting to like creep out again, like as the story sort of like goes towards its conclusion. She just doesn't have like the time to emerge fully.
Yeah, like it's an interesting thing, like in a strange way. Like I think there's a lot of small episodes you can compare this episode to, but like one thing that strikes me is a little bit on the like be right back, for example, like in the sense of like having this sort of deferred mourning in a weird way with something that is kind of not real, kind of real.
Yeah,
like it's an interesting thing, I guess, and I think it speaks to something. I'm not sure I fully have my like emotions on the matter really settled.
Yeah, no. I guess like to just like go through it a little bit, there are other connections to draw here, and I think they're a bit more spurious. Because again, this episode is not interested in like debating the personhood of like the person Brandy falls in love with. Like it's not entirely clear who she is, but she is like given like by the weight of cinematic language and so on, like just like full like personhood.
Yeah, I wonder, shall we barrel through the frontal charge of San Junipero compared to this one?
Actually, I was going to go down the like AI girlfriend route, right? Because that is like that's something I just want to flag for completeness, because I think it doesn't massively like link up to this in many ways, because like sure you have a lot of things that are sort of like thematically very close. You have like a ton of AI companies are like, what if you could resurrect Einstein? What if you could this? What if you could that? And this is like or the replica origin. Sorry, what if you could resurrect a loved one? And this is sort of smashing together the Einstein concept and the loved one concept.
Imagine if you could have a real unhealthy parasocial relationship with Einstein.
But then, you made him real and necromancy alive.
And Einstein realizes he's been dead for 80 years or whatever.
Yeah, and like this is like it is picking up those like things from the cultural atmosphere, but I don't think it's like it is debating them in any like meaningful way, right? It is just like there is something here, and we're not like going to like ponder like what this person actually is, but and it's not a question this episode is interested in asking.
Yeah, I was gonna say like one episode that this made me think of as well. Apart from the mention of Streamberry as Netflix, I'm gonna point that out for the recap. Um, is specifically Joan is awful, right? Because like we kind of have, and I don't think the episode really dives into it, but the idea of like, yeah, we can replace creatives, right? And this has, as you say, like not the hey, we don't need to use Ryan Reynolds. Like this has the let's bring back someone who is dead, like some old one, right? Like this has the Tupac hologram energy, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess is also like a bit of a Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too, our favorite.
Yeah, no, there's like some like revisionist digital necromancy thing going on here where it's like, well, yeah, but we can like bring her back and have her be a happy lesbian now. Except of course, it doesn't really pan out because that's not the point of the Enterprise.
Yeah, I don't think like that's really where this episode is going, because I was gonna say like there is something, it touches upon some sort of like social discussion here, right? Because we have a scene just as like Brandy goes in, right? I think where she goes like, and everyone here is gonna be okay with like this white male lead being replaced by a black woman, and they go, yeah, don't worry about that. And the racial aspect, yes, completely. Like that is not brought up at all for the rest of the episode. But the gender aspect, it's not commented on in the universe in the film. Simultaneously, well, okay, there's a mention, I suppose, of like, wow, she's really into kissing a girl instead of kissing her male lead as she did in the original movie. So there's hints there and everything. But like, you know, in a broader sense, the fact that we actually get to see her committing suicide over like the attention brought to her probably like lesbian love affair, there's something there, right? Like, and I it doesn't super feel like it addresses it. It's so much like an implicit of like, yeah, this woman gets to being necromanced to have a relationship she could not have in real life.
Well, maybe she did though, so it's like even more confusing in that.
But
sense.
I guess without the part where she had to hide it, right? Like she gets to like lay in bed in like a fancy hotel and like mess around.
Yeah, and then she gets zapped out of existence.
Yeah, like it's interesting.
We were like talking about this a little bit during the episode, and I was like fairly confident that there wasn't going to be like burying of gays, because I had some like San Junipero faith in Charlie Brooker, because there he's just like, what if gay people could just be happy in cyberspace? But this one, like, ooh, there's some graves here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say like, and this. Shit, we're gonna have to add a trigger warning. I'm sorry, but like I think this echoes like a quite genuine tragedy, not just in the broad sense of gay people had to keep quiet about being gay, but specifically, I can't help but feel the part where you go like, I didn't get to say goodbye to my gay lover, echoes some very real events of gay history, right?
Yeah.
Where like people have been kept apart from their loved ones because like, oh well, you're not officially married, so you don't get to see each other like on the deathbed and stuff like that.
And like it's like this is something the episode is more interested in, right? Because it is like very directly juxtaposing like grief that there is no space given to and grief that has space given to it. But then that is also sort of taken away, right? It is about grief that is not allowed to, that's not like socially acceptable.
Yeah, and
right?
I think...
And like interestingly, like it's not about judgment, right? It's not about like the like no, that would be improper. It's about it's about negation, right? It's about that's not a real thing. Right? It's not about it's about just like something being just like so out of the consideration that it's not even like that it's not given the space.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's a very interesting part to me of just about like how the actress, like, so there's gonna be a lot of confusion, but let's restate for a moment. Clara, the character, Dorothy the actress, right?
Yeah.
And there's a point where after Dorothy has had her reawakening, I still don't think we get to see her as a person outside of the fact that she gets to love.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me because like the episode is very clear that like this film company says these are just lines of code.
Yeah.
Very standard sci-fi setup for like these are just lines of code. No, they're not. They're conscious. Blah 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 blah. We don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
But specifically, I think it's interesting that the episode itself treats her still kind of like she is still just a love interest. It's just that for now she's the love interest to the actual protagonist person, not the character the protagonist plays.
Yeah. I think, like, mechanically, some of that stems from the fact that, like, who she is never resolved by the episode, right? Because, like, who she is, like, as far as I can ascertain, is, like, a sort of, like, emergent, like, mishmash of the role, the actress, and, like, this very strange experience that is being had by this mished entity, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, she is, like, a secret third thing that is neither of those.
And I think that's actually, like, genuinely quite interesting, because I think, and this is going to be bold, I'm going to make a lot of robot lovers very unhappy. I think there's genuine material here to say, no, that's actually correct, she is just code, she's just kind of good at evoking that part in other people, because, like, she takes in this extra information, evolves as that, but is still not conscious. I think that is a completely valid reading of this episode.
Yeah, and I think this actually lets me segue into another point that I was aiming for like 10 minutes ago. Because like this sort of veers back into the AI girlfriend space, right? Because like, let us for a moment entertain the notion that she's not a person at all, or at least her personhood is
limited,
questionable, whatever, right? Because the other thing is that under those premises, it doesn't matter, because to Brandy, her lover, she is extremely real.
Yeah.
Like, she is 2 months of, like, only being with this person. Like, 2 months of, like, COVID isolation, trapped in a room together real. Right?
Yeah.
And, like, one of the things that people who get, like, really emotionally attached to chatbots have is, like, this extreme difficulty with dealing with the fact that they have, like, a hard upper limit to, like, the amount of information they can deal with. Right? It's called the context window. Once there are too many lines of chat in there, it's full. And how these things used to be constructed is that, alright, just, like, hit the reset button and start from scratch. People didn't like that, so they built, like, weird workarounds that sort of, like, pass down, like, a sense of the previous conversations, but, like, the actual thing, like, isn't resolved. It's still, like, a hard capped memory. It's just that they're, like, sort of, like, implementing summaries of earlier stuff, which is a problem in its own right. And all of this, like, and this connects to another very weird thing where sometimes these companies just, like, go bankrupt and shut off all their servers, and people are like, oh, but all the conversations I had with, they always have a name for their love interest, are on there, and now they're gone, and I have, like, so the switch has been flipped on them. Like, even if they found a way to, like, hack around the, like, hard memory restrictions, right? It's still something where, like, people are, like, genuinely emotionally devastated by a company going, like, whoops, this was extremely financially unsustainable. We are way in the red, and shutting everything down immediately.
Yeah, like, I made this sort of, like, joking comment during the episode about how, like, if they used this technology for more movies, like, every single actor would have to get PTSD treatment afterwards, just because violence is very common in movies, and you just, whether or not it's real, you still react. But, like, there's a genuine thing here where, like, like, clearly this is gonna affect people. They will perceive it as real. Like, I think whether Dorothy in this episode is real or not is kind of secondary, because I think like the interesting part is more about Brandy, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that our final scene is her clearly unable to let go,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not shot with like, ooh, ominous, sad or anything, but it is, right? Like it is. This is not a healthy way to deal with what she is going through. And
No.
I think that's really interesting that this episode plays a lot with like meta stuff, like the part where she goes like, hey, do you hear that? The music that plays over all of our lives is not playing anymore. And I think like actually that level of restraint to keep that last scene from being like explicitly like, do you see this? This is a bad thing. Is really interesting, because there's so much to talk about with AI girlfriends, but I think one of those things that is like genuinely just like indisputable is that like whatever you think of the people using them, the emotional connection is real, right?
Yeah.
Like humans we were not evolved on the savannah to be like, oh, that is computer program, thus not taking in emotional effect, like.
Yeah. Also, just like point of order, we know that it's not just AI girlfriends. It is there's a lot of gender distribution.
And also like in some cases just like friends, loved ones, like etc.
But the emotional bonds are the important part.
And I think that's
Yeah.
very interesting, and I still want to connect that to San Junipero.
Go on.
So obviously, second gay romance in this show, like very on the nose.
Yeah.
We can just point that out. But it also strikes me that like second gay lesbian romance in a simulated reality. Let's go further. One of the two have a very tragic backstory as a result of their gay identity. The other one is implied, at least partially, to be bisexual. There's just a lot of stuff there, right?
Yeah.
Like, you start adding this stuff up, and I think when you, during the episode, was like, nah, I trust Charlie Brooker, he's gonna, like, be nice like San Junipero, I was like, I had a feeling it wasn't gonna be like that, but that was based on nothing. I think you were picking up on actual context clues, much more than I was on that front. Just, like subconsciously a bit, perhaps. But genuinely, I think it's so interesting, just like how many small connections there are over there, and I can't help but feel like Hotel Reverie is a bit of a shadow on that front. Like, there's just something to San Junipero. I don't think it's a perfect episode. It might honestly get a bit too glazed at times, but like I think it is a genuinely very good episode, and I think a lot of it is just like how it ties actual like real life suffering that like gay people go through without having to be like, and that's why they'll be unhappy forever. I don't think it's wrong to make media about gay people that is sad, but this one, I don't know, Hotel Reverie, it to me it's a bit of a combination of like not really going far enough on these fronts, and also just kind of like there's just something that rubs me a little the wrong way about how, good lord, Dorothy does not get to be her own person. Like, one of the things I really like about San Junipero is that both of those people are very real.
Yeah.
And sure, that is something that Hotel Reverie obviously plays with, but in the context of like so explicitly being a lesbian love story that talks about how this actress committed suicide because of her sexuality, or like because of how she was treated because of her sexuality specifically, something about it just rings hollow, and I don't know if I can perfectly place why.
Interesting. Like, I'm thinking more about it, right? And one thing that like we haven't like highlighted that much is like just like how down bad Brandy is for Dorothy. Like
it's wild.
Like she does not need to enter the simulated reality to have affection for this woman. Like, she's watching the movie and just going like, oh, what a lady. I think I like her.
Like, it's
right. She's watching like some like off tape from like an audition or something, and she's like just like, I wish I were on the other end of that phone. Right.
Yeah. Like, I think it's interesting because like You know how we talked about how Striking Vipers maybe had to have an all-black cast because of the implications of a bunch of white people like doing gaming all day, sounding too uncool? I wonder if this episode had to be a lesbian romance, because if you show a guy obsessing over like a woman from previous times and being like, oh, I would love to be with her, like,
Yeah.
I think that comes off very differently, right? And
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know if
I
that's
think-
fair, but
I mean, I mean, there's, I think there's some validity to it, just on account of like the role you sort of like can see yourself in. It's like a very weird one, right? Like, oh yes, I would love to be with this woman in a very patriarchal context. It's very different from like, we could fight the system together,
yeah.
right? But yeah, no, like like it boils down to me to just like being like tacitly just like about someone who's in love with a ghost.
Yeah, like the parasociality is hard to just because like if we did not get the shots of Brandy being clearly infatuated with this woman even before filming started, and then when filming started, there were multiple scenes where she's like full open eyes staring at her when she's not supposed to be at her. Like, 'cause this is like, you know, this is again inspired by like Casablanca. This is supposed to be the like subtle, suave gazes that like lingers just a bit too long, but like she's giving the like whoo look all the time.
Yeah.
And it's very funny. But like I wonder how different this episode would feel if this was more like, oh, this is something that grows, like, rather than starting out as this sort of parasocial infatuation.
No, like, and I think that, like, that does make me sort of revisit my earlier assertion that, like, we're supposed to read the, like, person she falls in love with as definitely real. Because, like, I guess we are, like, given to understand as much just, like, through her eyes. But I think the episode is, like, sort of, like, being a little bit of an unreliable or like a biased narrator, right?
Yeah.
Because like we are seeing like this sort of like Clara Dorothy person like come to life like through the eyes of like someone who is the most down bad.
Yeah, this is like, you know, big fan club leader going, my body pillow is very real, thank you very much.
But like there is like enough there to like be ambiguous at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like there is not enough there to be like, oh no, this is like a fully like sapient, sentient, like living, feeling person. Which like that's and that is just like, oh yeah, no, she's doing a seance and it's fucking with her, and she's basically gotten trapped in like the twilight space between life and death. And I guess this is also just like one of those like, hey, what if your like less healthy impulses were enabled by technology?
Yeah, I think that's...
And in this case, they're enforced by technology because she's just like put into isolate, and like that I think was like really strikes me because like how could you not, you know, like
Yeah.
sure, like, you know, like she doesn't, she's not presented as someone with like deep emotional like off kilterness instability, right? She's just like, oh yeah, no, like she got put in the like nice hotel for like 2 years or 2 months with like a very hot lady who's into her and
who's programmed to be into her, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, and I think this is genuinely something I think the episode like points out, right? Like, she goes at some point, do you think you just love me because you are playing the character whose personality is in love with me? And Dorothy goes, nah. And like,
Yeah.
of course she would say that, right? Like very obviously, yeah, you would say that. But like I think that's genuinely quite a good flourish to be like, okay, I understand why Brandy would just take that and run with it. She's got quite some investment in that being true.
yeah, no, asking ChatGPT, hey, my family have told me they're concerned. I'm not like being crazy here, right? And it's saying like, nah, you're not just living in reality. You're seeing the truth.
I want to say there's like another little bit I think it's very interesting that the characterization we get of Brandy apart from her being a bit dumb with not the USB stick and stuff.
Well, it's very coincidental,
I
honestly.
suppose. But the one piece of characterization we get is that she's tired of not having agency as an actress.
Yeah.
Completely fine with her love interest having that same level of agency, right?
Well, she's quite assertive.
She becomes quite assertive. But, like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit interesting. Like, I don't know if it leads to much, but I do feel like the the episode is flagging agency is going to be talked about.
Yeah. No, like, it's like in there, but I don't think it's like that. It's not like dived in on.
No, but I think this is like, okay, so obviously we spent a lot of hours on this podcast complaining about Black Mirror gesturing at stuff, not diving in. This one I actually think is completely fine.
Yeah.
Specifically because it addresses those sorts of like, is this real? Is it not? Like, just a general feeling of like, hey, like, here's a few like little dots to question the agency and the situation of this. Like, is this cool that we're doing this to someone, essentially? Like, resurrecting a Tupac ghost, but Tupac is in love with you. Right, like it's.
What I'm sort of taken to thinking about now is like we have all these like interesting ambivalences, but like the episode does end on like, hey, here's the woman you fell in love with, kind of, on a screen, and she's necromanced again.
Yeah, she's stuck in a room. And she can talk with you forever.
But where she's not being sent like the neural interface. It's just like, hey, have a chat,
Yeah.
Which is that's clearly a healthier way to engage.
I mean, like on some level, it does feel like it's like making a shrine, right? It's like, yeah, your loved one who died of cancer, or whatever. Here's a shrine you get to look at every time you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, no, but like, and that strikes me as like because like I think we're meant to take that and feel like at least a bit positive, right? Because like she's,
I think that's the big question of this episode in a way.
Trying to get like the vibe of what this episode is putting down. I think that's what we're like meant to, like we're at least meant to see it as like a bit of relief, but like but it all doesn't go like, hey, obviously the correct thing is to bring her back fully. Here's an android. We've uploaded her.
Yeah.
You're in a relationship with Dorothy Chambers now, right? It doesn't go there, but it goes to like this, like, hey, here's like a middlingly good connection to her, right? It is once more like being in love with a ghost, but I think the thing here is like the ghost is real, but it's still a ghost, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of where the episode like lands, and like that's a real fucking weird concept.
Yeah, but I think it does that part quite well, right? Like it lets you decide for yourself how much this is bad or good. And I think I fall very profoundly on this is like really bad, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, not in the sense that like the actual Dorothy Chambers is being hurt. I just think our protagonist is gonna spend like probably at least like a decade torturing herself and moving nowhere in life because of this. It's a bit bleak, but like like on some level she seems very into this idea of like loving a ghost.
Well, yeah, no, but like she's being given like the very reduced means this time around, right? And that's sort of what I'm fascinated by. Like, is the difference between like we have like neural VR'd you into like a hotel where you can like have sex with this person and, versus like, here's a phone.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, because
like one of those is healthier.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I think if we had some Waldo moment level epilogue here, I would love to see like the company being like, sorry, it's getting too expensive. We have a text bot now instead, and just like it's slowly getting worse and worse.
I mean, I guess the bizarre thing they're also just like incidentally doing is like, oh yeah, no, this runs on a Mac.
Also, like, very quick thing. I think one of those things is like maybe meant to be like a subtler bit about this being obsessive is the part where like the final line of the movie is "I will be" something like "I will be yours forevermore."
Mm-hmm.
You know, meant to be romantic, obviously. Like has an ominous overtone. Before we wrap up final thoughts, I feel more positive about this episode after discussing it. Simultaneously, like when I said I can't fully recommend this episode, it's genuinely for once not because of the themes, not because of like the analysis. I just think like the plot is just badly structured. Like I'm sorry, like we were joking about it, but every single plot bit being like someone was an idiot, like it got to the point where it was grating for me. And
I loved it.
if you are more tolerant than me, this is a good thing. I am not trying to be a snob here. Genuinely, it's good if you can get through this. I couldn't, and I'm sorry about that. I kept being annoyed by it.
Well, you don't have to be sorry. You know, the loss is yours.
Yeah, essentially, like that sort of stuff, like the fact that we have like 3 back-to-backs of idiot plot. Also, I'll be entirely honest. This one is probably just on me. I did not buy the romance whatsoever. Because it goes pretty immediately from Dorothy being annoyed at her, and her essentially being like the messenger of like, hey, just so you know, you're imprisoned forever, into, oh, well, like, I guess we don't have anything else to do, let's have sex. Like, I get it in a very abstract sense, I just did not emotionally connect with it at all, and I think that was also one of those things. Because I'm sure there are so many, like, women who are into women who are, like, really touched by this story. And I cannot be one of them, and I'm sorry.
Sergei Eisenstein would be so fucking sad that the power of montage has not reached your heart.
I really did not know. Like, I think if you are built different than me, this is a good episode.
And I don't think it's written, like... I don't even want to say like that well. Like it's just not like given that much space. I do think it's like acted very well. So like it is a bit of a like fragile construct. I see that, but I thankfully like it. I have a brain that just accepts what a movie is telling me.
Yeah.
So if the show is telling me these two are in love, I'm like, oh, they're in love.
I think for me, like, romance is what... Because, like, I can absolutely do that with a lot of stuff. Like, if you show me a sci-fi show that goes Unix the polarity backwards, I go, yeah, sure, I'm into that. Like, but, like, this romance specifically is, like, a sticking point for me with stuff like this. Like, I couldn't get into it.
I mean, I think that is... gets at something, like, deep about the episode, though. Because, like, the episode... like, I think this is deliberate because the episode is hiding the person that is being fallen in love with. Because it doesn't want us to see her. It doesn't want us to, like, have enough to, like, make a more definitive, like, or more informed decision about this person is real or not, right? It wants to leave space for the, like, Rorschach effect.
And I think it does that quite well. Like, because I don't think it's not obvious, right? There's no point where we either get like a truly like, oh, this is like full person, and there's also no point where we just get like complete like, nah, she's just not getting it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I think it works on that front. I just like, I like. Again, very personal thing. I just like when they started being like, oh, we're in love now, I go, why? Like,
because of a montage.
Apparently.
Which is very funny because earlier in the episode they just like ripped the like notion of montage briefly.
Yes, it's a cute little bit where like she gets montaged into different bits and she's always very confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's for me it is purely on the mechanics of the storytelling that I don't super like this episode, but I think for Black Mirror, I would rather it have that issue than the one where it tells a basic story very well and says nothing, right?
I want to, like, connect back briefly, because, like, upon all this reflection, I think I'm, like, quite firmly in the camp that this episode is, like, by far the most in conversation with Be Right Back, right?
Yes.
And I think this probably benefits some from the fact that Be Right Back is not that good an episode.
Well, I think it's good.
I think it's very mid at best. Like it's just a bit dull. So but my opinion in this case is that like because Be Right Back like does not like is not that good, this episode has room to breathe. And go into like a like similar but like it is throwing like a lot of like ingredients in there, but it is like fundamentally still about being in love with a ghost, except like there's like this queer element, this like sort of like lost possibility element, that makes it all the more like emotionally complex.
Yeah, like I think one of those things that like as this is a queer podcast technically, if you think about it.
Yes, it is.
But like I think this is like one of the things that actually connects to me a bit is the idea of like what if we could rip a historically queer person and let them live as they are.
Yeah.
And that's like I don't know, that hits genuinely.
Like that's a little bit of that's the Saint Junipero fantasy,
Yeah,
right?
like what if we could take Frederick II, the Great of Prussia, and let him have his extremely tall men?
I mean, like Doctor Who has like at some point just a plot line where it's like, anyway, all these people that were like really cool, just before they died in history, we replaced them and gave them like the opportunity to live a full life. Right? Like this is something that like media does like to do. It's just like, oh yeah, no, like The Good Place, like, yeah, no. Anyway, here's like a chance to just like live out all the possibilities. But this episode it's in conversation with that idea, but it is not like taking it at face value. It is not like giving into the escapism. It's like being in love with a ghost is crazy, right? And like death is so sudden, and it is really more looking at those things.
I think it wants to connect at least a little bit to the idea of like letting a historically queer person actually get to live as a queer person. But I think it's that is in conversation with the do you want to talk to Einstein, right? Like it's the same thing of like what if Einstein could react to quantum computers? Is like what if
he'd be mad.
Yeah, probably. Well, like, what if insert? I'm blanking. I'm trying to think of like a non-Greek example because I keep thinking of Alexander the Great and Sappho, and I'm like, no, they kind of got to do their thing back in the day too. So like, never mind that one. Like, what if you could? What if you could pick your great-great-grandfather who lived with a very close male friend alone after his divorce, like and let them just be.
But yeah, no, like it is taking that idea, but it's not going just like, and that's great, and that's we can fix all the world's problem in post.
I think it's interesting to me because like on some level, I would have expected like when we get the premise of this episode, I would have expected Black Mirror to sit down with us and be like, this is ghoulish. This is ghoulish. They're resurrecting old people to be sad. And I'm surprised we didn't get there.
No, I mean, they didn't even want to, like, resurrect them proper. That was just, like, an accidental artifact.
Yeah. I was really surprised about it, because that's kind of like Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too, and Be Right Back on some level. So, like, I was kind of surprised to see that they didn't go with that. I would say the resurrection even has, like, a slight positive tinge.
Yeah, no, like, it does, but it is sitting in that, like, ambivalent space where, like,
this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable, and it is like very. It's not like dismissing the like reality of like the loss and all of that.
Yeah,
right? It is.
Yeah, that's true.
It has those firmly in view.
Yeah, I think that's kind of impressive in a way that they actually like managed to still stick to that idea.
And like I don't think I'm going to be able to pull out like one thing this episode is saying, because I think like as a whole this episode is mostly about like sitting with some like extremely complex emotions about like loss and possibility in like the context of queerness to an extent.
Yeah, like the finite nature of life, the ability for you to just be ripped away from someone you love or to be forced to be closeted forever, etc. Like, there's a lot there.
And also about the people who are like on the other side of that, right? Who are who aren't like themselves deprived of that possibility directly, but who are like grieving, right? Who are like losing people.
I think there's like one aspect we absolutely cannot get into that I thought about earlier, which is the like part of like media side of things, where like we are resurrecting a queer woman who suffered and died for the sake of making more straight romance movies. Like, it's, oh, well, I guess it doesn't end up being a straight, but you get the point, right? Like like there is something interesting there. We don't have time for it. Speaking of time, I want to say this was not as badly used time as I thought it was. I think it's actually completely fine.
Yeah, no.
Like, it's not the speediest episode in the world, but it doesn't need to be. It's fine.
No, it's good. Do you want to blaze through some reviews? Because we're already over the hour.
Yes.
What the fuck do people think of this?
So, on IMDb, it has a 6.7 out of 10.
Oh, homophobia.
Maybe. Like, I don't actually think the rating graph shows homophobia. There's a peak at 10 out of 10, which I suspect is probably some queers.
That's the homophilia.
Yeah. There's a slight peak at 1, but honestly not that huge. It seems to be largely around like 7 to 8 mark by user reviews. But yeah, 6.7 out of 10. I'm a little surprised. I thought, like, between the black and white and stuff like that, and the fact that it has a bittersweet ending, I thought it might shoot up a bit. Let's see. Critics praised the visuals of the episode and the performances of Ray and Karin. Collider called the episode the worst of season 7.
If this is the worst, I'm very happy.
Yeah, definitely. I think to me, it's on the same level as the previous episode, approximately. Maybe a bit better. Let's see. It goes from, ranked below average on critics' list of the 34 installments of Black Mirror. It goes from 16th to 31st. So critics, there's a contingent of critics who quite dislike this episode. There's not really a contingent of critics that think it's good. By and large, at least. 6 best of the 6 episodes in series 7. Oh, so you just mean worst. Okay. You could have just written... Sorry, just to be clear, Wikipedia says Wired rated it 6th best of the 6 episodes in Series 7, which is like... It's really, really cutting it down a bit, but sure. So it's... By the standards of Season 7, it seems moderately disliked in a broad sense, and not super up and down.
I kind of see you... Like, I feel like this one's kind of a thinker, like, deceptively so.
Yeah.
Because, like, you need, like, I feel like we took, like, I took, like, halfway through the episode to really arrive at the, like, in love with a ghost angle. As, like, what this episode seems to be sort of, like, about. And, like, the nature of the ghost is, like, very deeply in question. And
yeah.
I think you really need to talk for half an hour probably to get to that, but I don't think it's worth it.
I'm just like, whether or not I like this episode, and like, I think I'm coming around to it being a 6 out of 10 for me.
Stop giving numbers.
I'm sorry, it's just funny because I rate a lot of things 6 out of 10. But no, like, genuinely, I think if I'm like getting through it a bit, even if I don't like this episode, it shows there is subtlety left in Black Mirror.
Yeah. And
I cannot help but feel that's a fucking shining beacon. Because in my head, I had a lot of comparisons in my head to Joan is Awful. But man, like, the difference in subtlety is quite a chasm, isn't it?
Yeah.
I genuinely think, like, this might be one of the most subtle episodes of Black Mirror. Whether or not it's good.
Yeah, no, I think it... Like, it's a very weird contrast to, like, the entirety of last season.
Yes.
Because, like...
it was a lot like, of in-your-face stuff.
Or, like, because, like, last season... Like, season 6 is, I think, maybe the peak of, like, just, like, throwing stuff in there and not following through. Whereas this does come together for me, and I think that is like a fairly ephemeral thing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also like an interesting comparison to the rest of the season, right? Because like I would say episode 1, quite in your face.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but like it's quite in your face. Bête Noire, very up and down. I want to say on that front.
yeah, I do think like for me, it definitely can't be. This can't be the worst episode of the season because I didn't dislike Bête Noire, but I like this more than Bête Noire.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, speaking of bad episodes potentially, I do think we're getting into the sequel half of the season.
That's right. It's all sequels from here, isn't it?
I think it might be, because next one is Plaything. Well, actually, I don't know if... No, I think episode 5 is not a sequel. But next time, we'll be doing Plaything, which is essentially a sequel to Bandersnatch, or at least like in the same universe, question mark. 46 minutes. And honestly, like, okay, there's a very big one that stands out from this, but shorter episodes tend to be good in my opinion. Metalhead being the shortest. Or actually Macy Day. Okay, you know what? I think I'm just gonna take that back. I like there's too many bad examples. But yeah, like I'm curious.
Yeah.
I think we saw a little bit of it in the trailer that we did a while back. But I don't have a vibe for this episode.
I don't even know how you make a sequel to Bandersnatch. Like,
I can see it being a prequel.
I am very curious how you like even do the whole thing of Bandersnatch is like the sort of emergent story from the interactivity.
It's
like,
a very strange one to do a sequel of.
Yeah, no, I'm completely like I don't even know what this could be. So I'm curious.
You know the phenomenon of like in the 2000s and 2010s where people would make movies out of video games? I think this is
a bit, yeah.
This is probably the closest we'll get in Black Mirror, right?
I suppose. Well, there is Playtest.
There's Playtest.
Which is just about a video game.
I don't want to emotionally talk about Playtest.
You hate Playtest so fucking much.
I really do. Anyway, this one, not Playtest, Plaything. So, we should be good.
Yeah, and it's Bandersnatchy. And so far, I want to say this season really has recovered my hopes.
Yes. It's flawed,
but like it's so far it has not committed any of the Black Mirror sins that really like grind my gears.
Yeah. Like there are no affairs. There are no dumb twists, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's interested in its themes, though last episode was a bit of a low point on that one.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if that one can qualify, but like 2 out of 3 is still pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
We've definitely had worse than 2 out of 3. There are episodes I'm worried about, but I suppose we'll get to them when we get to them.
We will.
So for next week, we shall do Plaything, and we'll see you there. Squad.
Thank you for listening. See you on the other side.
Bye.